Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to make this as quick as possible. This video is about this 8 1/4 inch Milwaukee worm drive, and I refurbished the tool from scratch. Now, there were several things wrong with this tool. Number one, the switch in here was not working properly. Inside here, this trigger goes down via a bar into a trigger circuitry switch. One wire was intermittent because it was broke off, so I cut that wire, polished the wire, soldered the end of the wire, put a terminal on the end of the wire, and screwed it into the back of the switch where it has an option for screwing an I terminal, a terminal, or a clamped wire. So I eliminated the clamped wire, which fixed the switch. The second thing that was wrong with this is inside here. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see that, but behind this were two bolts that held the housing. The housing bolt broke and the other one was loose, so I did a tap and die on those. On the one bolt that was out, I opened it up to a 1224. I couldn't find a 1224 bolt in the Philippines, but I had to die, and I made a bolt out of a number 3 hardened steel. The third thing that was broke was what you might be able to see up inside that housing. You'll see a shiny bolt. Let me have that flashlight. That bolt snapped in the housing, and I drilled it out and re-tapped it with the same size bolt which I had the tap for, and that bolt went through this housing here. The fourth thing that was wrong with this is, now this is, pay attention to this. This mechanism here is a dog that dogs off the blade. If you take this machine apart, there is a spacer here. It looks like a washer, but it actually serves two purposes. It's a sealer for the oil that is inside this housing, and it's a spacer to keep this cap mechanism from going too far in. And if it goes too far in, the dog hits the inner housing and it goes like this, ding, 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 ding. So what I did was I put a rope around it and then Teflon around the threaded casing, and I kept the space the same as the spacer, which I don't have anymore. I threw out that junk. Also inside here, it was leaking oil. There are two O-rings, one on this end with a spring that holds the O-ring to the face, and another O-ring in the back with the back of the spring that holds the O-ring into the housing. So it lets enough oil come out to just lubricate this, but it doesn't let the oil come out of the housing. The next thing I did was I took all of the peripherals off. This came off. The chassis came off 100%. And we're in the process of cleaning up the chassis because it has good flectoferrithane or cat yellow paint on it, but you can't see. So I couldn't see where I was cutting over here. I couldn't see the pencil mark, so we cleaned that up, and we're going to clean it up with a solvent as soon as we get out of the container. The next thing I did was I checked the brushes. The brushes were okay. This handle, from putting in this corrosion block oil, which is good for electronics or electrical, I've been shooting it into this switch for 38 years, 1981 till now, okay? The switch mechanism itself works fine, as does the saw. It also has a completely different sound, because when I took the housing apart, this apart, this bolt is where you fill it up to this line here. Of of course the saw is reversed. The oil was, it was good oil, but it was old mixed in with new, mixed in with new, mixed in with new. So I took it out and put straight 90 weight in it. And there's a fan in here. This is what you want to concentrate on, that fan. From dust and oil and moisture, and dust and oil and moisture, it was as thick as say two matchbook covers squeezed together. They were the thickness of 4 matchbook covers, and it was covering the fan, which didn't allow the saw to cool off properly. Now also the let's see what else we did. There's a bushing in here. It's a bronze bushing over the aluminum housing that keeps this to slide normally. That was full of gook, grease and oil. When I took this housing off, there's a double split ring. It's not a circlip, it's a double split ring. It spirals off like a spring. You have to take that spring out of there. Out of this, the bushing is about the size of this bolt. Take the spring out of there, the double split ring spring, and then the housing comes apart and the bushing comes out, and inside is a bronze bushing. When you take it apart, don't drop that bronze bushing and step on it. It would be a little difficult to replace it. It's probably only about 3/1000ths of an inch thick, and it's been in the saw since 1981, 91, 101, 111. It's been in the saw for 36 years, so it's a good bushing, but you're not going to find a piece of bronze that thin. Another thing we did was this bar was rusty and it was causing friction on this lock. I readjusted the lock because I sanded this down on both sides, and also it was damaged from years of using it and just bent sideways a little bit this way and a little bit that way. Now the next thing I did, and the last thing, is I'm going to straighten out this. I straightened out this chassis. This chassis was bent in and down, so I straightened that out as best I could. And another thing that I did, which I always do on my equipment, is this tail that comes out of the housing itself, where it bends like that, started to break the rubber. Now it's 37 years old, the rubber, 36 years old. So I put a goop, G-O-O-P, goop. Give me the goop, honey. Yeah. The one in the new package. Yes. I put goop, automotive. No, not this one, the other one, honey. I put automotive, right here. Goop. See this? This is the only product I suggest for gluing electrical stuff together, or wires. If you want to keep them, if the insulation on the wire is broke, you can fix it with a gasket rim sealer product, or you can fix it with goop. Goop is the one I suggest, but I'm going to tell you right now, goop, G-O-O-P, is not available in the Philippines, hasn't been for 4 years. What is also not available in the Philippines is Loctite. Not possible to find Loctite. Went to 3 different stores. So instead of putting Loctite on the screws that went down into the housing, I used contact cement and Teflon tape, because the screws from 36 years vibration made the holes a little bit bigger, made the thread chasers a little bigger. Now everything was blown out with a blower, cleaned. The outside was not clean because I wanted to get it back together. I'll clean it and paint it together. But it took Daisy and I, come here, honey. It took Daisy and I working in our little shop here. We spent 2 10-hour days, but we also spent an hour and a half at the store looking for Loctite and a 1224 screw. You cannot buy a 12. We went to Tire Queen and Tagbilar. They don't have 1224 screws. They wouldn't even let me in the back to look. So if they had them, the woman that I was dealing with, she seemed pretty confident that there was no screw and that she tried the big, but she handed me a 1/8 screw and a 1/4 screw, and there's nothing in between at Tire Queen. So if you're a machinist and you need screws, there's a place right around the corner from ICM. It's a bolt company. It sells every size bolt, but it was Sunday when we went there and it was closed. So that place, it's around the back of ICM Mall, where they have a hardware store in ICM Mall, which is really a joke because they don't have Loctite, and they sell one tube of latex caulking that comes from America that you buy for $1.59 or $1.79 in America at the Built Right hardware store inside the ICM Mall. The hardware store inside the ICM Mall, I don't even remember the name of it. I was so upset. They sell one tube that we pay $1.79 of cheap latex caulking for 560 pesos. That's $10 for a tube of caulking that we pay $1.79 for. So if you want caulking, if you want Loctite, if you want goop, 3 things that you actually need in the Philippines. You need goop to fix almost anything. Goop is, I swear by this stuff. Oh, they don't sell corrosion block. I have a store of corrosion block that I brought from America. They don't sell a product like corrosion block. They have WD-40, which is basically WD-40 is not conducive to putting on equipment. If you want to clean the rust off of something, let me tell you what WD-40 is. I'll break it down. I'm a jet mechanic. I know more about tools, equipment, chemicals, working apparatus to fix things than any of my subscribers on YouTube. I don't care who you are. I'm just gonna tell you that I have an A&P jet license, which if you have one, that's fine, but have you used it? Do you have your own equipment repair? Have you been repairing equipment for 40 years? Do you know how to repair cranes? Do you know how to repair pile driving units? Do you know how to take hydraulics off of equipment, take it apart, break it down, polish the surfaces, put it back together without buying parts from the manufacturer? I don't think so. So I'm telling you that you can't get what you need in the Philippines. So you think that you can get what you get? Let me tell you what, digressing. WD-40 is, they take a chemical like a perfume, and they take a very fine kerosene, which has sulfur in it, and they put the chemical in the WD-40, and it smells really nice, and it polishes the metal really good. Take a good weapon, any good weapon. Take your best Smith & Wesson, put WD-40 on it, clean it, polish it, all nice black metal, and put it in the case, and come back 2 years from now, it's going to be rusty. Take this and put it in your weapons, on your weapon, clean it. You could clean it with the WD-40, but then take this and put it on afterwards and come back 10 years later, and it's going to still look like gun steel. It might have what appears to be a cosmoline on the gun steel itself, but if you're going to leave your weapons stored for any length of time, which is the case when you go to the Philippines, you need to preserve them in something like corrosion block. So I've given you enough information. Also, Daisy and I took a speaker system apart, so now I have some free magnets to put my screws on. And then bring your own grinding blades. See these 4 1/4 inch grinding blades? 119 pesos. I think it's Built Right hardware in the ICM Mall. 119 pesos. That is, by the way, $2.40. Okay, $2.40 for a grinding blade is a lot of money, because if you go to Tire Queen in Tagbilaran, you can buy this same one 40 pesos. So if you go to ICM Mall, bend over, because although I don't have the DOD, this is, you're going to get the working end of the flashlight if you buy stuff from ICM. 10, and I repeat, 10 1-inch black drywall screws are 40 cents. 40 cents. 20 is 75 cents. 1 inch, and they're number 8s. They're small, they're thin, and if you tried to put them through this piece of wood, they'll snap. Bring your own screws, bring your own nails, bring your own hammers, bring your own Loctite, bring your own corrosion block, bring your own goop. If you want good quality screws, bring your own screws, because otherwise when you get here, you're going to get screwed. You cannot buy good black screws. The best place to buy black screws, however, is the hardware store behind the ICM Mall. It's outside the ICM Mall. Walk out the back of the hardware store, walk around the corner, and go look for a bolt store. It says nuts and bolts on the sign, or it did when I went there last. That place has the highest quality. Oh, bring your own drill bits. $3 for a 1/8 drill bit. $3 for a 1/8 drill bit. You can make about 10 holes with it. If it doesn't get dull, by the time you're done with the 10th hole, it'll snap. That's the best grade of steel they have here, as opposed to my Holt. I have a Holt drill set. Okay, now, this drill set is older than most of the people on YouTube. Hold that light, honey. A Hoyt. I got this drill bit set. Oh God. Honey, hold the bottom of the box. I got this drill bit set when I was in high school. Now, I don't know how I got it, but I got it. Most all of these drill bits are original, and if you cannot, and you couldn't buy this quality set. Now, this set is 50 years old from Hoyt. You can't buy a quality set of drill bits. You cannot buy it. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter how much money you